uh, to the continuous. Actually, Fourier transform evaluated we have evaluated the Fourier transforms of continuous function, no matter whether they are periodic or non-periodic, isn't it? But the Fourier series is related to only periodic function. We have discussed it, isn't it? But if the function is not periodic or periodic also, then we can have its Fourier transform. Now let us generalize the notion of this Fourier transform to the discrete function, isn't it? If the function, later we have discussed about the continuous functions, isn't it? No matter whether it's periodic or non-periodic, but it must be continuous function. So we have discussed about Fourier transform of continuous function, isn't it? So what does that Fourier transform? Fourier transform converts the continuous function into the frequency domain, isn't it? Frequency domain, conversion of functions into frequency domain. That is what the application of transform we are discussing here. So let us generalize the notion of this Fourier transform to the Z transform by considering the discrete functions. Is it? If the functions are not continuous, or if they are discontinuous at finite number of singularities, finite number of discontinuities are there, then we can also convert that function signal into frequency domain, isn't it? And that is what it called as a Z transform. Let me share the screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
All right, so here the Z transform is, it says use of Z transform is very prominent in the analysis of linear. Yes, hello, any problem?
No, sir. She meant to say only yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, so use of Z transform is very prominent in the analysis of linear time invariant system, isn't it? The linear time invariant systems are characterized by Z transforms or by the Fourier transform, and their characteristics are related to the location of the poles or zeros. Now, what is meant by poles? Poles and zeros. Zeros, if we have a rational function and if we consider the zeros of denominator, then those zeros of denominator are called poles of the function. So basically, poles means the values at which the function goes to infinity, isn't it? Denominator 0 means something non-zero upon 0 means infinite, right? So if the denominator goes to 0, then the whole function or the quantity goes to infinity, and at that point, if the function goes to infinity, then those points are called poles, isn't it? So poles and zeros of their system functions. We have already discussed about Fourier transforms in detail in the last chapter, right? So number of systems of practical importance such as economical systems, population systems, and many other systems occurring in statistical studies are discrete in nature, right? Discrete. We are collecting the observations in terms of, or we are collecting those, what can I say, the numbers in terms of observations, isn't it? And those numbers or those observations are discrete, not the continuous. So we are processing on that data in statistical way in statistics, isn't it? We are finding the mean of those observations, median, mode, or the standard deviation, isn't it? So most probably this discrete data is used in statistical analysis. So statistical studies in discrete in nature, while the modern technological development has made it possible to consider many systems occurring in engineering fields as discrete, isn't it? So number of important types of digital systems including resonators, notch filters, combo filters, all pass filters, and oscillators used Z transform for their analysis. So that's why the Z transform is very, very important in engineering or ENTC engineering field, isn't it? So discrete systems gives rise to difference equations. Later on, we are going to discuss about difference equation also. This is not a differential equation. It is about a difference equation, and their solutions as well as their analysis are carried out by the transform techniques, isn't it? So Z transform plays important role in these aspects. Z transform we are going to use to solve the difference equations, the difference between the two systems. Its role in analysis of discrete systems is same as that of Laplace transform and the Fourier transform in continuous functions. Okay, so basically Fourier transform we have used for the continuous function, and Z transform we are going to use for the non-continuous or discontinuous function, or it is also called discrete function. Discrete means pointwise. Okay, so these are the basic preliminaries which we require to discuss about Z transform. We have discussed in I think 12th also and in M1 also about the sequence. What is meant by sequence, right? So sequence is actually a collection of well-mannered object, or the well-mannered numbers we can say, isn't it? That is a sequence. An ordered set of real or complex number is a sequence. Here it is denoted by f of k, or f of x, where x is variable, k is variable here, or simply f suffix k also. These are the notations of sequence. All right, so we are going to use f of k as a notation here, but you can use fk also. The sequence f of k is represented in two ways. There are two representations actually. You might have discussed only one, that is the standard representation of sequence. How we are writing numbers, we are writing the numbers in curly bracket, isn't it? And that is a representation of sequence. But if those numbers are in specific manner, then we can generalize the sequence. Suppose sequence of natural number, or sequence of even natural number, sequence of integers, isn't it? Sequence of odd integers or odd natural number, like this. So these can be characterized by a specific number or specific variable, we can say. So that is a general representation of sequence. So the two types are there. One is arrow representation and second is general representation of a sequence. So our arrow representation means the particular numbers are given in bracket, and we are giving arrow position to one of the number, and that arrowth position decides the zeroth position, isn't it? 0, then if we consider the number line, then all the numbers right to the 0 are positive, isn't it? And all the numbers left to the 0 are negatives, negative reals. I'm not saying integers or natural, isn't it? They can be rational, irrational also. So all the numbers which are right to 0 are positive real numbers, isn't it? And left to 0 are negative reals, isn't it? So that arrowth position decides the zeroth position, and then right next to 0 is what? First position, because here sequences we are considering characterizing by the terms of the sequence: first term, second term, third term. So these first, second, third, or one term backward, that is minus 1th term, minus 2th term, isn't it? So these are the positions of the sequence, or the terms of sequence in a at those positions, isn't it? So the next right to 0 is the first position. We are denoting it as a f of 1, function value at first position, whatever that value. It is not necessary that value is 1 only. It can be 10 lakh, whatever. Isn't the value at first position? So it is denoted by f of 1, then f of 2, f of 3, then f of minus 1, f of minus 2, isn't it? So these are the positions or the terms of the sequence. So that arrowth position decides the zeroth position, and then right and left positions are characterized by that arrowed positions, isn't it? If arrow is not there in the given representation, then very first position will be our zeroth position, isn't it? So here, just like the first example, f of k is given to be 15, 13, 10, 8, 5, 2, 0, 3. So the arrow is given at 8th position, isn't it? So that 8th position is the zeroth position. So I can say f of 0 is 8, then f of 1 is 5, right? F of 2 is 2. It is not necessary f of 2 is 2. By coincidence, here it is 2. It can be any number, but that is the second position. f of 3 is 0, f of 4 is 3, f of minus 1 is 10, f of minus 2 is 13, and f of minus 3 is 15. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
The arrow representation of a sequence. Please ask if any doubt. Okay. Then in this second example, here f of k is given to be 15, 13, 10, 8, the same numbers, same terms of the sequence. But you can see here the arrow position is at 10th, isn't it? In the earlier example, arrow position is at 8 and here arrow position is at 10. That means that arrow position will be 0th position. So f of 0 will be here 10. So in this way, we can see though the numbers of these or though the terms of these sequences are same, but these sequences are not same. Remember, these sequences are not same. If arrow is not there anywhere in both the sequence, then we can say both the sequences are same because they will start with the first position as a f of 0th position, right? But here in the first 0th position,
बोल ना भाग कर
0th position will be f of 0, that is 8, and the first position is f of 0, that is 10. All right, so that is why these two sequences are not same. Okay, so arrowth position will decide the 0th position of the sequence. If arrow is not there, then the first position will be the 0th position. You can see here f of minus 2 is 15, f of minus 1 is 13, f of 0 is 10, f of 1 is 8, and so on, isn't it? And this is a finite sequence actually. It can be infinite also, or we can generalize the sequences. Note, the sequence given in 1 and 2 having the same listing, but they are not treated as an identical sequence. Why? The reason I have told you already. Since k is equal to a corresponds to different positions, right? In the first example, 15 is at what position? F of minus 3, right? And in the second example, 15 is at f of minus 2. So k equal to a correspond to different terms. That is why these two sequences are not identical, not same. Okay. The method of representation of as discussed above is appropriate only for sequences with finite number of terms. All right. When vertical arrow is not given, then the starting or left hand end term is the sequence denotes the position corresponding to k equal to 0. That is the first position at 0. All right. In the sequence f of k is equal to 97531 minus 2024. Here, arrow is not there, isn't it? So the 0th position will be, or at 0th position, 9 is there. So f of 0 is 9, f of 1 is 7, f of 2 is 5, and so on. There are no negative positions of the sequence. Right? Here, only the non-negative positions. Non-negative means including 0. Right? Next is second. Now the first representation we have discussed as a arrow representation. Now the second is general representation. General representation of the sequence. The second way of specifying the sequence is to define a general term of the sequence, isn't it? As a function of position, that is k. So the sequence f of k, where f of k is 1 upon 4 raised to k, where k is integer, represents a sequence actually, isn't it? But as we know, sequence means there must be terms related to that sequence. So if we vary that k from 0 to infinity, then we'll get the terms of the sequence, isn't it? So at k equal to 0, 1 upon 4 raised to 0, that is 1. 1 upon 4 raised to 1, 1 upon 4 raised to 2, 1 upon 4 raised to 3, and so on. Then 1 upon 4 raised to minus 1, 1 upon 4 raised to minus 2, and so on. So these are the terms of the sequence. All right. So in this way, we can write the terms of the sequence if that sequence is given in its general form. So this is the general form of the sequence, that is 1 upon 4 raised to k. All right. So f of 0 is 1, f of 1 is 1 by 4, and so on. Okay. And we can consider the sequence as a finite also by restricting the value of k. Here they have restricted the value of k in minus 3 to 5, so we'll get a finite sequence. For k equal to -3, you can see 1 upon 4 raised to -3 means 4 raised to 3 in the numerator. So the sequence will start with 4 raised to 3, then 4 raised to 2, 4, 0, sorry, k equal to 0 ke liye 1, then 1 by 4, 1 by 4 square, and so on. All right. So this is a general representation of a sequence, and from that general representation, we have got here the arrow representation of the sequence. So in earlier pattern, there were questions to represent a given general representation into its arrow representation, or a given arrow representation into its general representation. All right. Or by given arrow representation, they have asked to find the value of the sequence, or the position of the sequence at 8th position, or the 2nd position, or -1th position. What is the term of the sequence? That is what the question. So hence a sequence f of k can be written as like this, isn't it? F of -3. So what is f of -3? 4 raised to 3. F of -3 means function value at -3, or here function means a sequence. So sequence or the term of sequence at -3th position is nothing but f of -3, and so on. So having f of 0 as the 0th term. All right. Now the second, as a causal sequence, this is the particular type of sequence as a causal sequence. Causal sequence means there are no negative terms of the sequence. All right. No negative terms. You can see here the definition: any sequence whose terms corresponding to k is less than 0 means k negative are 0. 0 means no terms actually. So for all the negative positions, the terms of the sequence are 0 is called a causal sequence. All right. So maybe when I share the screen, people are unable to enter the room, I think. All right. So causal sequence means all the terms of the sequence at negative positions are 0. All right. The next is the first example. What is the sequence? What sequence is generated when, if you consider this, f of k is equal to 0 for all k negative, and f of k equal to cos k pi by 3 for all k non-negative greater than or equal to 0. All right. So for all the negative position, the terms of the sequence are 0, and at k equal to 1, sorry, at k equal to 0, k equal to 0 means it is non-negative, isn't it? So we have to consider this part of the function at k equal to 0. So for k equal to 0, cos 0 is what? 1. That is why for k equal to 0 we have 1. All right. Then k equal to 1, for k equal to 1, cos pi by 3, cos 2 pi by 3, cos 3 pi by 3, and so on. Right. So these are the terms of the sequence when we expand. So from the application point of view, it is sometimes convenient to consider finite sequence to be infinite length by appending additional zeros to each. So for the calculation purpose, if we need infinite sequence, but if we have given the finite sequence, then we can add infinite number of zeros into that finite sequence. So the sequence become infinite, right? Where the some finite terms are non-zero and remaining all the terms are 0. All right. Or negative, the terms at negative positions are 0. Basic operations on the sequence. First is addition. All right. So if we have the two sequences, f of k and g of k, then their addition will be denoted by this f of k plus g of k. So how to add the two sequences? Term by term, isn't it? So addition of these sequences is the sequence denoted by f of k plus g of k. And how that addition is? Term by term addition. Means first term plus first term, second term plus second term. That means addition of the terms at 0th position, remember, 0th position. Right. Scaling means multiplication by a scalar. So if we multiply by a scalar a to the complete sequence, then that scaling means what? Multiplying by that a to each term of the sequence, a into f of 1, a into f of 2, like this. Then linearity. If a and b are the two scalars, then a f of k plus b g of k is equal to a into f of k plus b into g of k. That is, a is now multiple to all the terms of the sequence here, isn't it? So if we take that a common out from that sequence, then a into the complete sequence, that is a f of k, plus b into the complete sequence, that is b g of k. That is called the linearity property. Linearity says we can take that scalar number to inside multiple of each term of the sequence, or we can take out that multiple of the sequence outside, isn't it? So this is the first example. Write the sequence 1 upon 2 f of k, where f of k is given by 1 upon 2 raised to k, isn't it? So 1 upon 2 into f of k means 1 upon 2 into each term of the sequence, right? So that by this, which property? By scaling property, isn't it? So 1 upon 2 into f of k is given to be 1 upon 2 raised to k. So the sequence becomes 1 upon 2 raised to k plus 1. This is the new sequence, isn't it? This will start from 1 upon 2, right, for k equal to 0, and so on. Write the sequence f of k plus g of k, where the two sequences are given. F of k is 1 upon 2 raised to k, and g of k is given as a causal sequence, right? This is a causal sequence because the terms of the sequence at all k negative are 0. And we have seen that causal sequence means the terms of the sequence at all negative positions are 0. That is a causal sequence, right? So we have to add, first of all, we can write the f of k and g of k separately. So f of k, what are the terms of sequence f of k? So here there is no restriction on k, right? Whether k is only positive or non-negative or negative, also there is no restriction. Here is also infinite sequence is given. This is also infinite, right? So this will start from minus infinity to infinity. This is also given as a minus infinity to infinity. So the addition of the two sequences f of k and g of k term by term will be f of k plus g of k, and that is denoted by a single sequence h of k. So how that h of k will be? Addition of the two sequences, isn't it? 1 upon 2 raised to k plus 0 will be 1 by 2 raised to k, and 1 upon 2 raised to k plus 3 will be 3 plus 1 upon 2 raised to k when k is non-negative. Any problem in this? Please ask if any doubt.
Sir, the right side condition k less than and greater than, uh, do they opt for f of k too, or only for
Yes, yes,
g of
f of
k?
k too. So actually this f of k is given, there is no restriction on this k means what? This sequence is defined from minus infinity to infinity, all right? So we can add the negative positions and positive positions, negative positions plus negative positions, then positive positions plus positive positions, all right? So what are the terms at negative positions? 1 upon 2 raised to k when k is negative, and it is again 1 upon 2 raised to k when k is positive. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Sir, and g of k will be simply numbers only, no, sir?
Numbers, right? G of k is constant for k greater than or equal to 0, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, right? And for k
Okay.
negative, it will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 up to infinity. All right. So we can say g of k is a constant sequence. That means if we graph that g of k, then g of k will be like this. For all k negative, that will be 0, and for all k greater than or equal to 0, here it will be like this at 3, right? This is the graph of g of k.
Sir, जरा ऊपर कर सकते क्या sir?
G of k. All right, it is not visible. All right. So for all k negative, is it visible now? For all k negative,
हाँ, sir.
for all k negative, g of k will be 0. Is it? 0 is not included here. 0 is included here at 3. Isn't it? So for all k greater than or equal to 0, the value of the function is 3. So we can say This is a step function. G of k is a step function with length of the step as a 3. Right. So this is how we can add the two sequences. Any doubt? Is it okay, Ayush?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Sum of f of k and g of k. All right. The next is, if f of k is given like this, f of k is, again it is causal sequence, because f of k equal to 0 for k negative and it is 2 for k non-negative. All right. Then find 1 by 3 into f of k. So 1 by 3 into f of k means we have to multiply each term of this f of k by 1 by 3. 1 by 3 is a scalar. So 1 by 3 into 0 will be 0, and 1 by 3 into 2 will be 2 by 3. All right. So that is why, and that is again a causal sequence. 1 by 3 into f of k will be again a causal sequence, because for all negative positions, 0 into 1 by 3 will be 0 only, isn't it? So that is again a causal sequence like this. These are additional results which we are going to actually use while solving the questions. We have used these representations in the first chapter, actually, these expansions. 1 upon 1 plus PV we have denoted there, and here we are going to denote 1 upon 1 plus x or 1 upon 1 plus y, isn't it? So the representation of this in terms of series as a 1 minus y plus y square, increasing powers with alternate plus minus signs, is it? When mod of y, actually this is a geometric series. This is a geometric series with the common ratio what? Y, isn't it? So if that common ratio, mod of common ratio is less than 1, then only it will be convergent, isn't it? And we are interested in only convergent part of the sequence only. This is again a geometric sequence, and it is converges to this limit. This is again a geometric series, and it is converges to this limit. All right, for mod y less than k. In general, this is actually a Bernoulli's theorem, we can say, for the expansion, right? 1 plus y raised to n. 1 plus y raised to n is 1 plus ny. Actually, it is, we can write it as a nc0 into first term plus nc1 into first term into second term, like this. Right? So in this way we can expand this using the binomial expansion. All right, and then we can generalize this series in terms of its general form, kth term or rth term, we can say summation of ncr y to the power r, nc1, nc2, nc3, nc4 and so on, with the increasing powers of y. Right? Then this is again a standard expansion, e raised to x or e raised to y will be 1 plus y square by 2 factorial. I hope you have used this in the sequences and series. Now since
M1,
yes,
M1, M1,
m
M1.
m1, okay, m1, right, right. Since S infinity is the geometric progression series, S infinity means infinite series. This is just a notation for infinite series of the geometric progression. GP is this. This is the standard form of geometric progression with the convergent sum or the convergent limit as a upon 1 minus r. Okay, if it is convergent, and if it is not convergent, then mod of r will be greater than or equal to 1. Okay, A is the first term, r is the common ratio. Now the next, this is about the complex number. Actually, Z transform is nothing but what? Complex transform. All right. In the very beginning of Fourier transform, we have discussed the complex representation of Fourier series, right? We have combined the Fourier series, those A0, A1, AN, then BN, in terms of, or we have substituted their formulas into the standard representation of Fourier series, and then we have generalized, we have reduced that Fourier representation, series representation, into its complex representation, and that from that complex representation we have written the formula of Fourier integral representation. I hope you have remembered. So that complex representation will be characterized by the variable z, and that is nothing but the Z transform. So here Z is nothing but x plus Iy in the form of real and imaginary part, where mod of Z, modulus of Z is nothing but what? The distance of each point on the circle from the origin, and that is by distance formula, right? That is mod of Z is nothing but what? Square root of x square plus y square. So actually, here this mod of Z, if we denote it by r, then r is nothing but the radius of that circle, and that r is equal to square root of x square plus y square. If we square on both sides, then what will get? X square plus y square is equal to r square, and that is nothing but what? An equation of circle. If we consider r to be 1, then that will be a standard circle, right? So basically, this mod Z equal to r represents a circle. Always remember. Later, we are going to use the mod Z representation, or mod Z equal to r, or mod Z equal to a is the notation for circle. Always remember. So always remember now onward that mod Z equal to r represents a circle which is centered at what? 0. So the general, if I generalize that mod Z equal to r, how do I generalize? Mod Z equal to r is nothing but a circle with center at 0 and radius r. So in general way, I can write any circle in a complex plane as mod of Z minus Z naught is equal to r. So this is also represents a circle with centered at centered at Z naught. And if we consider that to be 0, then that will be mod Z equal to r, right? So this is a general representation of any circle in a complex plane. Is it centered at Z naught? Z naught is also a complex number. Always remember, Z naught is also a complex number. So if I consider any point in the complex plane, and with respect to that, if I draw a circle by taking some radius, then that will be again a circle in complex plane represented by mod of Z minus Z naught is equal to r. And if I consider mod of Z minus Z naught less than r, then what it represents? Less than means what? All the points inside the circle. So all the points inside the circle. This represents only boundary of the circle. Here if it is strictly less than, then all the points inside the circle we are considering. Means all the points inside the circle whose radius is less than r. Is it? Actually, this Z is variable, right? And this Z is fixed. So if I consider Z naught here, Z naught is a center, and if this Z, if I vary, isn't it? So if this Z is here somewhere, then mod means what? The distance between those two. So mod of Z minus Z naught, this is Z suppose, then Z minus Z naught means the distance between these two. That distance will always strictly less than r. So always remember, mod of Z minus Z naught is less than r means all the points inside the circle whose distance from a fixed point Z naught is always less than r. Is it? And if I consider greater than r, mod of Z minus Z naught is greater than r. If it is equality here, then those points are on the circle also, less than or equal to. If it is strict less, then all the points inside the circle. And if it is greater, then all the points outside the circle whose distance from a fixed point Z naught is always greater than this r, radius of the circle. So these are the geometrical representation of the circle, and this represents the exterior of the circle, and this represents the interior of the circle, right? And this represents the boundary of the circle. If equalities are there, then interior including its boundary, exterior including its boundary. See, these are very important in Z transform, because we are going to consider later these as a region of convergence. Whatever the function, whatever the sequence or series we have given, we have to consider its region of convergence, where it goes to convergent, and that region we are going to consider as a ROC, region of convergence. And that in that region of convergence, this series or whatever the function or the sequence that is going to converge is called the region of convergence. All right. So it is explained here that greater than represents the exterior and less than represents the interior. You can see here interior of the circle. All right. Now, what is meant by Z transform? Okay. So as I said, Z transform is the generalization of Fourier transform. Right? Fourier transform we have used only for the continuous functions, but here the Z transform may be for the continuous, may not be. May not be means we can consider the Z transform of discrete signals, we can say discrete points. So the basic definition of Z transform is Z transform of a sequence f of k is symbolically denoted by Z of f of k. Z is a Z transform, isn't it? And that is defined as summation, infinite summation, and that summation varies from minus infinity to infinity of f of k z raised to minus k. So this will be a series. We can say it is a power series, power of a complex number. So let me explain on the board. You can see here. I hope board is visible. Is it visible? All right. So we have defined the Z transform of a given sequence f of k. It is denoted by f of z, and that is equal to what? Summation, infinite summation, f of k z raised to minus k. K varies from minus infinity to infinity. This is the basic definition of Z transform, infinite series representation. All right. So when I write this z raised to minus k to the denominator, then that will be f of k upon z raised to k. Right. So if I split this summation, then that will be k from minus infinity to infinity. So minus infinity to at minus infinity, it will be f of minus infinity z raised to minus infinity. Then and so on up to 0, and then 1, 2, 3 up to plus infinity. That will be the, these are the terms of the series. All right. So this is the representation of Z transform, definition of Z transform, where Z equals to x plus iy is a complex number. Now Z is a Z transform operator, okay, and f of Z, the Z transform of f of k, remember. So is there any confusion in the basic definition? Is it okay?
Sir, can you explain the behind one once again on the blackboard one?
Definition, basic definition.
Yeah.
Okay. If you explain it with the help of example, then that will be better to understand. We are going to explain the examples also, discuss the examples. Anyways, whatever the sequence we have given, f of k, suppose, suppose let us take f of k is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, finite sequence. And if we want to find its Z trans, now these are the discrete points, right? 1, then directly jump on to 2, then 3, 4, isn't it? So these are the discrete points, and that Z transform will be denoted by Z of f of k, and that will be a function of Z, okay, where Z is a complex number. All right, and that is nothing but what? Summation k from minus infinity to infinity f of k z raised to minus k. All right, infinite sum. But since we have given a finite sequence, we can consider only finite summation. So that will be vary from k equals to what? Now here arrow is not there. All right, if arrow is here, then this is the 0th position, but arrow is not there. That means very first position will be the 0th position, right? So k will start from 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 0 to 3. Okay, 0 to 3, f of k z raised to minus k. So when we expand this summation, what we'll get for k equal to 0, I'll get f of 0 z raised to 0 plus f of 1 z raised to minus 1, z raised to minus 1. All right, minus is already there, plus f of 2 z raised to minus 2. Is it okay? Plus
Yes, sir.
f of 3 z raised to minus 3. And now substitute
Sir,
the, yes,
and
yes.
Z would be given in question only. Yeah?
Yes, z means find the z transform like this. Question will be find the z transform. Z will not give Z will not be given in specific. Z means complex transform. All right,
Okay, we'll keep it as it is.
as it is. We'll be asked to find just like Fourier transform. If we ask to find the Fourier transform, then what we are finding for the given function, we are finding its Fourier transform means we are substituting that function into its integral, right? We are evaluating that integral, and that will be evaluation will be in terms of lambda. We have denoted by f of lambda, function of lambda, right? And that is the Fourier transform, isn't it? So just like that, here that transform will be in terms of z. Okay, that is only the change. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So when we substitute f of 0, f of 2, f of 1, f of 2, f of 3 from the given sequence, then f of 0 is 1. So 1 into z raised to 0. Z raised to 0 is again 1, right? Plus f of 1 is 2 into z raised to minus 1. That is z raised to minus 1. Plus f of 2 is 3. Z raised to minus 2 plus f of 3, that is 4, z raised to minus 3. So this will be your z transform. If I write again like f of capital F of z is equals to 1 plus 2 by z plus 3 by z square plus 4 by z cube. Is it? You can take LCM also. So z cube plus 2z plus 3, okay, 2z square plus 3z plus 4 upon z cube, isn't it? And that will be a function of z, and that will be your z transform. Is it okay? Completely a function of z. K will not be there anywhere. Is it okay? So this is how we have to get the z transform. Any doubt? Any problem? Please ask if any doubt. Okay, the next is for a finite sequence. Finite means k varies from m to n, fixed values of k, right? Its z transform is this, just like the previous example we have discussed, that k varies from 0 to 3, that is k varies from m to n, that is finite sequence. The z transform of f of k exists if the sum of the series on RHS exists. See, this z transform exists if and only if this sum exists. Sum exist means what? Existence of series means what? It must have to converge, convergent. I hope you're able to visualize the thing of convergence. It is very similar on, and it is in line with the convergence in physics. Convergent. Convergence means what? All the rays are converging to a single point, and that single point is nothing but the limit of all those rays. Is it? So just like that, in mathematics also, convergence of series means what? All the terms when we add, then that summation, no matter whether it is finite or infinite, that summation will be goes to a single particular point, isn't it? And that point is called the limit point of that series. All right, just like if I consider the sequence 1 upon 2 raised to k, then what is first of all, tell me whether it is convergent or divergent. Tell me for k positive. Yes, 1 upon 2 raised to k, is it convergent for k greater than or equal to 0? Or
Yeah.
if you are confused, then for the simplicity, let us consider 1 upon k and tell me whether it is convergent or divergent for k positive. Simply 1 upon k, is it convergent?
Sir, convergent means means in short term, what would we say? Means they are meeting at a point, we got it, but in mathematical terms, what?
Okay, in mathematical, what is mean by convergence? Convergence of the sequence. You might have discussed the convergence. There are several tests of convergence of the sequence: p-series test, ratio test, D'Alembert's ratio test, root test in M1, right? Have you discussed this
No,
in M1?
first time.
I think syllabus have changed now
Which
in
one?
2019 pattern. In earlier pattern, these are all there, isn't it? So the convergence of series or the sequence means what? Let us consider an example. Just like if I want to distribute an apple among 4 students or among 3 students by cutting it into 4 pieces equally. How do I cut that apple? Are you getting my question? If I want to distribute an apple among 3 students by cutting it into 4 pieces, you can say
Sir,
if I want to distribute
Q1
that
1
apple
is
among
to
3 students equally, then I can cut it into 3 pieces. But the condition is I have to cut it into 4 pieces and I have to distribute equally also. So how to cut that apple or how to distribute that apple?
give one piece to each student, and
Uh-huh.
remaining piece would be cut into three equal parts
No,
and will be
that cutting
distributed.
always in 4 pieces. 4 pieces. Cutting will
सर
always.
3 पीसेस दे दिया 3 लोगों को,
Uh-huh.
चौथा पीस 3 पीस इक्वल पीस में काटने का और देने का.
That is what I'm saying. That cutting in each step, at each step, that cutting will be in 4. Okay, so you're right that 1/4 part will be to each, right? Right? When I cut that apple into 4 pieces, then each student will receive first of all 1/4 part, right? Then
Yes,
1/4 part will remain, and I have to cut that apple into again 4 pieces. So how much it will be?
one.
So the again that particular student will get how much quantity of the apple in second step? 1/4 square, right? He will receive this amount, na? First, in
Yes,
first step,
yes.
he have received 1/4 part of the apple. Then in second step, he have received 1/4 square part of the apple. Are you getting my point? Then
Yes,
in next step, third step, how much he will receive? How much left now?
4 क्यूब का.
How much
नहीं
left?
नहीं.
1/4 square left, right? That fourth part. And uska fir se 4 में cutting will be 1/4 cube, right? So he will receive 1/4 cube, right? Again 1/4 cube part will remain. Uska fir se fourth part will be 1/4 raised to 4. And so on. So if we look at these, this is a particular arrangement of numbers, isn't it? And that is called a sequence actually. These are the terms of the sequence, we can say. Okay, first position, second, third, and so on. And when I add these numbers, what I'll get? What do you think? How much, in common sense, how much each student will receive the amount of apple at the last when the complete apple will be distributed among 3 students equally? How much amount of apple will receive? Yes? 1?
1/3.
1/3 of the apple, right? So if I add these numbers, the answer must be 1/3, isn't it? So let us see 1/4 plus 1/4 square plus 1/4 cube plus and so on. So what is the sum of this series? It will be equals to, first of all, this sum will be convergent. Convergent means what? If its limit point is finite. See, we have seen a geometric series a plus ar plus ar square plus and so on, right? And it will have a limit point, or the sum of this series will be what? A into 1 minus r raised to n upon 1 minus r, right? Isn't it? Or in particular, Now this is in general for any r, but if mod r is less than 1, then this will be converges to what? A upon 1 minus r. Because mod r is less than 1 means what? Let us take 1 by 2. Is 1 by 2 less than 1? Yes. Okay. 1 by 2 is less than 1. And if we raise the n powers of 1 by 2, that means 1 by 2, then 1 by 2 square, 1 by 2 cube, where it will goes to? It will tends to what? What will be the limit of 1 by 2 raised to n as n tends to infinity? It will be
0.
0, correct. So this term will goes to 0, isn't it? When mod r is less than 1. So 1 minus 0 will be 1. So 1 into a will be a upon 1 minus r. And that is what a fixed finite number, right? So this is what a limit of this series. And that is, therefore, this series converges to this limit when mod r is less than. That is what the convergence means. Okay. So let us check whether this series is convergent. So what do you think? Is it convergent? What is R here? If we compare this and this, R means common ratio, right? A is the first term. What is the first term? 1 by 4. And what is the common ratio here? Common ratio is 1 by 4, right?
1 by 4.
1 by 4. So let me write the sum of this series. That will be 1 by 4 upon 1 minus 1 by 4. So let us check how much it will be. 1 by 4 into this will be 3 by 4, right? So is it 1 by 3?
Yes.
Isn't it? And that is what our answer, na? Each student will receive 1 by third of the apple. And that is what the limit of this series. And that is why we can say this series is convergent and converges to this. Are you getting the concept of convergence, Ayush?
Yes, sir. Means we'll get a finite answer.
Finite answer, exactly. That is what the concept in physics also, na? Finite, or we can say when something convergent means what? We can see, we can measure that quantity, right? Divergent means what? We don't know whether it goes to this side or this side or this side. It has infinitely many directions, right? Divergence, right? So the same thing here. Divergence series means what? It will not have a particular limit point. It will not converges to a finite limit point. Finite, see, limit point is always unique, only one. Always remember. Just like 1 upon, for the series 1 upon n also, I was asking about 1 upon k, na? 1 upon k tends to what? 0. As k tends to sorry, infinity, right? So this will be a limit point of this sequence, we can say. Right? So third point, Z transform of a causal sequence. Now, which is defined as a, it is very easy actually. For the causal sequence, k are the terms of the sequences are 0. So 0 into z raised to minus k will be 0 only, isn't it? And 0 plus 0 plus 0 will be 0 only. So that is why up to 0, the addition of the terms of the sequence or the addition of z transform or addition of this summation up to 0 will be 0, right? And then from 0 it will be 0 to infinity f of k z raised to minus k. Is it okay? Let me explain on the board. If you have a doubt, you can see here. Z transform is f of z summation f of k z raised to minus k. K varies from minus infinity to infinity. So we have given this f of k as a discrete. It is 0 when k is negative, and it is non-zero when k is greater than or equal to 0. So let us consider it as f of k only. F of k for k is, or in particular, let us take it as a k. Okay, for k greater than or equal to 0. So when I use here, then what will be the transform f of z is equal to summation If I split this summation, then negative to minus 1, sorry, minus infinity to minus 1 will be all negative terms, right? So k from minus infinity to k equal to minus 1. All right. F of k z raised to minus k. What I'm doing, I'm splitting this summation into two parts, negative parts and non-negative parts. Negative parts means minus infinity to minus 1, isn't it? Plus summation k from, now non-negative. Non-negative starts from 0 to k equal to infinity. F of k z raised to minus k. So here for the at negative positions, f of k is defined to be 0, right? For negative positions, f of k is 0. So 0 into z raised to minus k is 0. So summation of all those zeros from minus infinity to infinity will be minus infinity to minus 1 will be 0. Is it clear? 0 plus summation. Now this f of k in the positive or non-negative positions will be k. So k into z raised to minus k, k from 0 to infinity, and that will be the z transform of this given causal sequence. So that is what they have defined there. Z transform of causal sequence will be k from 0 to infinity. Why? This is what the reason. Note, to obtain z transform of a sequence, we multiply each term by negative power of z, that is z raised to minus k, okay, of the order of that term, and the sum. Okay, it is not visible actually. Z transform of f of k is a function of complex variable z, and it is only if the sum is finite. Remember, the Z transform exists only if this summation is finite summation or the convergent summation. These are some examples for f of k. If f of k is given to be this, and okay, we have, okay, basically they have obtained the Z transform of this given function f of k. So it will be k from minus 5 to 3, na? K from minus 5 to 3, f of k z raised to minus k. So when we split this summation, f of minus 5 z raised to 5. So what is f of minus 5? It is 8, right? Then 6, and so on, and then we'll get the z transform like this. These are very basic questions. So if f of k is like this, then what is its z transform? Simply the definition. This is the 0th position. So this is minus 1, minus 2, and minus 3. So k varies from minus 3 to 1, 2, minus 3 to 2. Is it clear? K varies from minus 3 to 2. So when I vary k from minus 3, what is f of minus 3? F of minus 3 will be 4. F of minus 2 will be 2. F of minus 1 will be 0. F of 0 will be minus 2, and so on. And just substitute those values into the summation, you will get the required Z transform. You can see we have converted these discrete points into a function. Okay. Here this is the sequence given. That is very easy now to get the Z transform of such discrete points. Inverse Z transform. Okay. The operation of obtaining the Z transform of f of k from fz is defined as inverse Z transform, just like inverse Fourier transform. Inverse Fourier transform is also called Fourier integral, right? So here inverse Z transform is the original function f of k. Okay, and that Z inverse is the operator of inverse Z transform. Okay, inverse Z transform. Tanmay, I'm sorry, I've just seen your message. You're not getting the linearity property, Tanmay? Hello? Tanmay? So I think ROC have explained region of convergence. A region in which the given series is convergent is called region of convergence, right? And uniqueness of inverse Z transform. So herein they have explained that if we consider the two sequences f of k and g of k like this is a causal sequence, right? This is not g of k is not a causal sequence because the terms of this sequence are non-zero for negative and 0 for positive, but f of k is causal sequence. So using the basic definition of Z transform like this, they have splitted this interval minus infinity to infinity as a negative plus positive. So k from minus infinity to minus 1 plus k from 0 to infinity f of k z raised to minus k, right? And then in negative part, f of k is defined to be 0, right? And in positive part, f of k is defined to be a raised to k, like this. Okay. So a raised to k f of k. So say on the board, we have given the function f of k as a causal sequence 0 for k negative, and it is a raised to k for k non-negative. So the transform of this f of k will be summation from k from minus infinity to infinity. So I'm splitting this interval into negative and non-negative. So minus infinity to minus 1 will be the negative, plus non-negative means summation from 0 to infinity f of k z raised to minus k, f of k z raised to minus k. So for k negative, f of k is given to be 0. So 0, so the summation will be 0, plus for k positive, f of k is given to be, this f of k is given to be a raised to k. So summation a to the power k z raised to minus k, k from 0 to infinity. All right. So let us split the terms of this summation. What I'll get? For k equal to 0, what will get? For k equal to 0, it will be a raised to 0, or let me rewrite the summation in simplified form. When I take this k, when I write this a raised to k z raised to minus k as a z raised to minus 1 the whole raised to k, k from 0 to infinity, it will be easy to simplify now. So for k equal to 0, this raised to 0 will be 1, right? Plus for k equal to 1, a z raised to minus 1 raised to 1, right? For k equal to 2, a z raised to minus 1 square, plus for k equal to 3, a z raised to minus 1 cube, plus and so on up to infinity. Okay. Now we have discussed that this Z transform will be exist only if this summation will be convergent. This Z transform is exist only if this summation is convergent. And when this summation is convergent, yes, what is the condition when the summation convergent?
Finite answer.
Answer must be finite, right? Right, exactly. So what that finite answer, or what is the limit of this series, or where this series converges to? We have to check, na?
Infinity. Yes.
No, that is not in terms of the sequences are in series infinity, but that summation may or may not be tends to infinity. Let us see where it, and we'll consider only the convergent part of this series, right? So we have we can see that this series is geometric series. Is it geometric series? Geometric series means what? A series with if ratio, their common ratios are same, right? So here, what is the ratio? Az raised to minus 1. What is the ratio here? It is again az raised to minus 1, right? So here that common ratio is same throughout, right? So this is a geometric series, and geometric series will converge to what? Geometric series will converge to, I've given the formula, na? Geometric
A
series will
into
converge to
1
A
minus
upon
R
1 minus
square.
R, right? A upon 1 minus R, if and only if mod of that common ratio less than 1, right? This is very important condition. अगर वो जो कॉमन रेशियो है उसका मॉड अगर लेस देन 1 होता है तभी ये सीरीज इस लिमिट पॉइंट को कन्वर्ज होती है, अदरवाइज इट विल बी डाइवर्जेंट. Always remember. And this is only for the geometric series. I repeat that geometric series will be convergent. This is geometric series A plus AR plus AR square plus and so on. And this will be convergent and converges to what? A upon 1 minus R if and only if mod of R is less than 1. ये आप फिक्स कर लो. This is very important. This is a geometric series with the common ratio R. A is the first term. Here the first term is 1. Don't get confused with this A and this A. Okay. So this will be geometric series and that will be converges to A upon 1 minus R if mod of R is less than 1. So what is the common ratio here in a given series? Here the common ratio is Az raised to minus 1. And this series will converges to what? First term upon 1 minus common ratio. What is the common ratio?
A by Z.
Common ratio is A by Z. If and only if what?
Mod of A by Z is less than
A
0.
by Z
Less than 1.
less than 1. This is very important. Okay. अगर आप सिर्फ इतना लिखते हो, इसको भूल जाते हो, then that is wrong. Because in that region only this series is convergent and converges to this, na? So that region of convergence is very important. A by Z. Mod of common ratio must be less than 1. Right? So from this mod of common ratio, we can try to write the condition on Z. Right? So let us simplify this expression. This will be Z minus A upon Z. So that will be Z upon Z minus A for mod Z greater than mod A. Isn't it? And that is your required Z transform of the given series. This is called a region of convergence, ROC, region of convergence. Even we can visualize that region also. Mod Z greater than mod A represents what?
Up to infinity.
No. This represents mod Z greater than R represents exterior of the circle, right? With radius R. So if we have this circle of radius mod A, then this will be what? Exterior of this circle, isn't it? Exterior. All the points outside the circle. So in this exterior only this Z transform exists. If I consider any point inside the circle, then at that point this Z transform will not exist, remember. That is why it is called a region of convergence. Is it clear?
Sir, and that inverse function is got left.
Where it is?
Z inverse,
No,
which was
we
above.
are going to discuss specially for the Z inverse later. This is just a definition of inverse Z transform. Okay, inverse Z transform is f of k. See here, if Z transform of f of k is f of Z, then I'll take this Z to the right hand side, then that will be what? 1 upon Z. That means Z raised to minus 1, right? So Z raised to minus 1 means Z inverse of f of Z will be f of k. So we are going to discuss later in with the special cases how to find the inverse Z transform. Okay, okay. This is just an introduction here. What is the inverse Z transform? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think we have crossed the time limit. It's 11:24. We have to stop. All right. So we'll discuss the properties and examples on Z transform in the next lecture. All right. Stop here. Thank you. I'll give the schedule of meeting today. You have to join the meeting in a group. Okay. I'll give the time slot for that particular group. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.